everyone. Welcome back. We're excited. We've got a big show planned. Lots to talk about tonight. So we're doing a show on hair, Bigfoot hair samples. So hopefully we get a few people that come in that have collected samples in the past, because we would love to hear from you. We'd love to know any knowledge that you have. And but anyway, before I talk too much, say too much, I'm going to hand it over to Charlie, because I know he's got a few things he wants to get off his chest.
First of all, I like to say your hair, Lindsay, looks lovely tonight.
He's in trouble.
I'm in trouble, so I gotta earn some brownie points, but it does look very beautiful. And we're gonna get to blonde hair, because blonde hair is important with humans and Bigfoot. So during the it's not really a presentation, I'll share kind of what we know, and there's something related to blonde hair. It's right there. Comments. First, let's welcome some of our guests.
All right, starting from the top, we've got Charlotte J. Welcome, Sharon. Hello. Jess Featherston. Welcome back, Jess. YouTube user. Hello. Jim Dodge. Hey, Jim. John Harbaugh. I thought you were going to be elsewhere tonight, John. Who else? Laura. Jamie Cox. Hi, Jamie. Joseph Peck.
Christy.
Judy. Oh, Christy Cox. Hi, Christy. Judy's here. My good friend. I miss you. Jim again. Sharon. And the tactician.
Rick.
Welcome. Oh, hi, Rick. Carter's here as well.
And more people will join us. So we'll try to acknowledge everyone. We'll try to share your questions. So hopefully you have some great questions. You have some knowledge that you would like to share as well, because we don't have all the answers, right? So we like to work with other researchers and other Bigfoot enthusiasts and gather as much knowledge as we can to solve this mystery. So the first thing we're going to talk about regarding hair, we know certain things about supposed Bigfoot hair. And I'm going to bring up a couple examples real quick, if I could borrow the mouse here. And I'm going to bring up an example of hair, Bigfoot hair. And I'm going to show it on the screen here. 1 second. As soon as I get this over here, I need to share this. And I'm going to show you a picture of Bigfoot hair, supposed Bigfoot hair. So I need to share the screen. Window right here. Share.
Finally getting it figured out.
All right. So if you guys can see this, and I'll try to zoom in some more for you. The main thing on a human hair has a cellular medulla, the center part. Do you see this center part right here? Sometimes it's fragmented. On a supposed Bigfoot hair, there is no medulla, as you can see in these samples here of these supposed Bigfoot hair. So that's one main difference. Now, I talked about Lindsay, a second ago being blonde. Let me see if I can remove this from the stage. So the other thing is, humans with blonde hair, they don't have a cellular medulla either. But if you bleach it, you probably do, but it's just bleached. But so there's the problem there. A lot of the Bigfoot hair could be mistaken for blondes running around in the woods. And no joke. Because true blondes don't have a cellular medulla. Generally speaking too, can I borrow the mouse again? I'll show you some little notes here that I gathered regarding Bigfoot hair. Let me bring it up and go over here. And I'm going to share this screen, which is share, stop sharing. Oh, I need to share it again. Share screen. Okay. So here's some basic information about Bigfoot hair. Add to stage. Okay, generally speaking, a Bigfoot's hair is the same diameter as a human hair. Same length. It's a primate hair. And that's why a lot of the hair comes back unknown primate. It doesn't quite match human, Homo sapien, but then some other type of primate. But the diameter is usually the same, the length the same, sometimes longer. The one difference is with a Bigfoot hair, it's rounded or split at the end with sometimes dirt on the end of it. Human hair, as you know, we get haircuts, right? Bigfoots don't cut their hair as far as we know. So our hair is cut on one end. That's one way to determine a Bigfoot hair because it's not cut. And I mentioned the absence of a cellular medulla. Most humans have that. And then Bigfoot hair has a reddish tint. The dominant color for Bigfoot, as you know, in North America is reddish brown. Yes, we have black ones, gray ones, white ones, but reddish brown's the most common color regarding Bigfoots.
So, what's the problem with it not having a cellular medulla?
So the problem with it not having a cellular medulla, okay, here's the deal. To get DNA, the mother's DNA, the mitochondria DNA is in the medulla. The paternal DNA is in the root, the hair follicle. That's the nuclear DNA of the father. So when it doesn't have the cellular medulla, you can't tell, who the mother was, right? So there's a big issue getting DNA from hair. And also you need to make sure the hair, if you get a sample, don't touch it. I see a lot of people try to touch it with something. I would find a stick if you don't have an evidence bag and try to collect it with a stick, but I would never touch a hair. And then at the end of the program, we will post a place where you can send it in North Carolina. There's University of North Carolina I think it's University of North Carolina. No, North Carolina State. They're doing a hair sample of unknown animals. They don't want to call it Bigfoot, a Bigfoot study. They basically say it's an unknown species study.
So I kind of feel like most people know the dangers of cross-contamination now. There's been a few well-known cases with DNA where human DNA has been identified and it's been written off as being contaminated. So Jim has posed a great question. Thank you, Jim. What is the best way to collect hairs without contaminating the specimen? Well, if you truly suspect that it's going to be a Bigfoot hair sample, firstly, you need to document it. You need to document everything that you do. If that means taking a video, taking notes, whatever that might be, photographs, you need to be making sure that you're wearing nitrile gloves. Do you call them nitrile here?
Sterile.
Sterile. Like a latex glove. And you need to be using, if you can get them, I mean, to be fair, everybody should have a pair in their Squatch kit. But if you can get a hold of some sterile tweezers, that's ideal. If you don't have tweezers and you've got some sticky tape, you can use sticky tape. Just don't touch the underside of it. Once you've collected it, either with tweezers or on sticky tape, you need to put it into a sterile bag as well. And at no time can you touch this with your bare hands. That's the biggest thing that anybody can ever stress to you. We don't want any human contamination whatsoever. And that's all on the basis of trying to prevent human DNA getting in there. I mean, it's not very often that we get human DNA from a hair sample anyway, but that's what you would need to do. If you need to any more.
Let me add to that real quick. We'll take a couple questions. A lot of the samples of DNA, as you know, that have been collected, some hair, other blood, tissue, eDNA, a lot of it comes back with Homo sapien in the DNA, and it's dismissed. The academics say it's contaminated. I don't believe all those are contaminated. Again, I know the study in Kentucky where Layla was hired, the Erickson Project, to study the 3 Bigfoots in northern Kentucky, in Crittenden, Kentucky. She was an environmental biologist. She was hired to collect DNA. I'm pretty sure she used sterile methods to collect that DNA, and there was Homo sapien in the DNA. It was on the mother's side, unknown on the father's side. And that's what a lot of it comes back as. Unknown on the father's side, known on the mother's side. And there's nothing in the gen bank to compare it to. We don't have a known species, so there's a problem there. So we have a good question here about...
Hold on. Rubber gloves, Brian asked. All I would say about using rubber gloves, if you're considering the type that you do the dishes with, you've got to keep in mind what they have come into contact with, because you can very easily transfer that onto whatever you're touching. So they have got to be sterile.
Yeah, it's got to say they're sterile. The other thing too, if you don't have gloves, an unused envelope. If you have an unused envelope, one that you didn't lick, and you open it up carefully and you take a stick, you can gather the hair and push it into an envelope. You don't want to use a plastic bag because of moisture. So an unused envelope is a good way to collect it.
Paper is always best, but I mean, sometimes I guess we're in the woods and we just stuck with what we've got. So gloves are an ideal best practice for best evidence, but not necessarily always possible.
So this question here about the hair being cut once in a lifetime, that's a good question.
It will always show a cut end. I don't know. I don't know if there's been any experimentation on that either.
I think generally most people get their hair cut often. So as opposed to a Bigfoot. So a lot of it's probability. You're going with statistics and probability. Hey, there's Jay Keaton.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
And Joseph Peck.
Okay.
The Bigfoot expert.
All right. They can wash hair and get a good DNA off it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard of that. I'm not a biologist, so I can't go into any depth on that, but if it's what I'm thinking you're saying, but...
Well, here's the thing. Me personally, I would not take a chance. Yeah, they can wash it. There's a way to clean it. I would videotape you taking the hair sample, put a camera on it, show your sterile gloves, your sterile tweezers, if you want to do it right, so there's no controversy. Because if you don't do it right, you don't document thoroughly how you collected it, and it comes back Homo sapien in it, they're going to throw it out.
Joseph, thanks for your question. I've heard it's best to put hair in a paper envelope instead of a plastic bag. Paper is best when it comes to biological materials, but if all you've got is a plastic bag, go with it. As long as it's not, you're not taking the chips out of it to drop a hair sample in it, then it should be fine, at least for a little while. John Harbolt, DNA is decontaminated when tested.
That's like, I think washing too is kind of the same thing when they do that. But again, I don't want any kind of controversy. Like, if you can, videotape the whole thing, document the whole thing, try to do it the right way.
In the end, we do the best that we can, keeping in mind that we're trying to avoid any kind of cross-contamination, because that's what you're going to come up against. If it is Bigfoot and they find, or anything, and they find human DNA. The tactician, if most Sasquatch are reddish brown, do they have a little Irish in their genes?
Maybe.
Maybe. Mark Roberts, hey Mark, Jamie. All right,
so I'm going to show you guys something here. All right, I show this often because the other thing I would like to talk tonight about is something called cryptid colorization. And cryptid coloration, let me share this real quick. So this is regarding hair. You can remove this thing now if you want. Regarding the hair, okay? In biology, something called cryptic coloration. It's known as camouflage, and it helps animals blend in with their surroundings. And I'm going to show you an example of this regarding some mountain goat in a minute. Sheep wool. It's well known, well, maybe not well known, that sheep wool scatters light. When light hits the wool fibers, it becomes some of it absorbed, some of it reflected or refracted in different directions. Some even passes through it. So animals, over thousands of years of adaptation, their hair has property which could refract light, bend light, absorb light, etc. Okay? So where I'm going with this is people say Bigfoots can cloak and turn invisible, physically vanish or go through a portal. The other thought is their hair could have special property because it doesn't have the cellular medulla, that it could possibly refract light, bend light, absorb light. I'll give you one example of a witness. Mike Smith down in LBL. Mike Smith had a daytime sighting. He was on his boat fishing with his family, saw the Bigfoot standing on shore. We did a full reenactment and investigation of his sighting. It's on our YouTube channel, by the way, if you wanted to see that, The Beast of LBL. But anyway, the thing he told me, when that Bigfoot would step in and out of the light, it looked like it would almost disappear. When the sun rays hit it, it was one color. When it stepped into the shadows, it almost turned invisible, is the way he described it. He thought that was very odd. Can you move that off there? He thought that was very odd that the hair would actually act like it was cloaking when it really was standing there. Another quick example of a witness telling me this. On the Green River, near Mammoth Cave, on Brownsville, they call it a Big Mo. There were two fishermen, and a big branch across the river broke on a sycamore tree, and it broke into the water, and a Bigfoot was on that branch, a white Bigfoot, which we know there's white ones out there. A white one fell into the water. The two young boys ran off the dock back in the woods and watched the Bigfoot swim. The odd thing they mentioned, when the Bigfoot climbed out of the water and started to run away, they told me the hair looked dry. The hair was flowing, bouncing in the wind, even though the Bigfoot was in the water. So does the hair have oil or some other property that allows it to act like that? So we don't know, because we don't have a Bigfoot in captivity, all the properties of hair, Bigfoot hairs. So that's what I'm getting at. They could have special properties which allow them to cloak. So let's show you one other example that while I'm on that. Can I share this screen real quick? So this is really good. I showed this a lot. And if I could pull it up here, let me stop it. Let me move it over here. All right, I'm going to show you guys this video. You guys want to see something amazing? Watch this video here. Let me show this real quick. Video file. Show video file. Sorry. Let me get it real quick. It's on desktop. It's right there. All right, here you go. So you guys watch this. What I'm about to show you is something called cryptid colorization again. It's a video of mountain goat. Count how many mountain goat you see before the guy shoots his gun and they all scatter. Okay?
Hold on. Before we play it, how many people have seen this? Can you put yes or, I don't know, something in the comments? Because I'm just interested. We've had this on the YouTube channel for a while, but I don't know if anyone, it's the bull tar video. Okay, no one. Okay.
Yeah, I showed in my presentations. It's not on our YouTube channel. It's on my presentations I show.
Okay. So, it's on TikTok.
Yeah. It is? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So here you go. Get ready, guys. Watch. How many mountain goat do you see? Can we remove this thing here? I don't know how to remove that. Look at Wasn't it amazing?
I remember being amazed first time I saw that.
Here, I'll do it one more time. You guys ready? I'm going to rewind it. Maybe that'll help you. Can you guys see the mountain goat? Okay, ready? Watch. I see one right there.
I see two.
There's one.
Three.
I see a couple there.
Three.
You can see them a little bit better the second time around. Look at that. Cryptid colorization. So
there's tons of examples of that in nature.
So my point being, you could argue that Bigfoot's cloak can actually go to another dimension, turn invisible. That may be. I think it's more nature. I think over thousands of years of adaptation, their hair has special properties that could refract light, bend light, absorb light, etc. So let's answer a couple questions here.
All right, Joseph. MK has a great video on the Pete Patterson-Gimlin film. When Patty walks past a tree, it reflects light grey on her hair as she walks by it. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joseph. I didn't know that either, but that's a good example of how they can change color depending on the light hitting it.
Right. And I feel like we touched on this a little bit, going back to the first show, where we were talking about hair. And if there is no cellular medulla and the hair is in fact transparent, then wouldn't it be fair to say that if the creature, or the Bigfoot, let's just call it a Bigfoot, the skin was able to camouflage itself, kind of like an octopus does, to blend into the surroundings, wouldn't the hair then be reflected the same way? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm always listening.
Anyway.
I gotta always let me know. So here's another example here. If I can get it up. Stop sharing screen. Slides. I don't know why it does this sometimes. This is not hair. Okay, I know it's not hair. I know that's not hair. Those are feathers. But that's pretty awesome, isn't it?
It's a bit close up. I think if it was at a distance.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
It's much better.
Yeah, at a distance, you never see that owl.
Yeah.
But those are just more examples of cryptid colorization.
Jim Dodge, Meldrum has shared an update by Darby Orcutt's DNA study at North Carolina State yesterday. I've not seen that. What did it say, Jim?
Now we know the early studies of the hairs that were collected, most of the early studies came back unknown primate, very similar to Homo sapien, with those exceptions I mentioned. You know, no cellular medulla, the ends were not cut.
Okay, John. Could be an oily property because of witnesses see them run through something and nothing sticks to the hair. Yeah, that's a good point. And you know, witnesses have seen them come out of water, and the hair still looks dry.
You know, that's what's amazing that too, John. How many times have you heard witnesses say the Bigfoot ran off through like a thicket, like impossible, like very dense thicket that no human would dare go through, and they go through it with no problem. So that could be, maybe it's that oil, that waxy substance. Even the hair, the hands, when they say they got handprints on windows, there's always this waxy substance to the fingerprints or the handprints.
Right, Shelby said yes. I think that is to the question I put in the chat about if anybody's collected any hair samples. Henry, Bigfoot researcher, says yes, about 30. Brian, no. Janet has. Joyce has. Jamie, no. Or maybe you could be answering the question about if you've seen that bull tar video as well. If you have, tell us about it.
Yeah, if you've
collected a sample.
If you've collected a sample, I'm going to show you something here. I I have a sample from somebody famous, kind of famous in Kentucky. So I'll show you his picture here. So this gentleman, you guys know this guy right here. Do you guys know this gentleman right here? It's kind of hard to tell. That's me when I was a little heavier. You can see my round cheek. I'm hoping I've got like food in my mouth. Dang.
Is that really you?
That's really me. This is me at the Turtle Man's house.
Different. I would have never have thought
I know.
that was you.
I didn't know I had.
Never have guessed that was you. But I think you have still got that hat.
I do have that. I have that coat too.
Still got that hat.
I don't.
That coat, yeah.
I don't throw anything away. I keep everything. I have that hat and that coat. But anyway, this is the Turtle Man. He gave me a hair sample from his sighting. So let me show you the hair, which is right here. I got to get used to working the screen because it takes a while to get it to work. All right, so here it is. Let me zoom in. So this is a big clump of hair the Turtle Man gave me from his sighting in Washington County, Kentucky, on Tick Creek. I believe it was back in the 70s. He was squirrel hunting, and something big come crashing through the woods towards him, breaking branches, and he picked up his rifle. He shot above it. Now, interesting, when he told me the story, because I have the interview, a video interview of this, he shot above it. But when he went on TV and told the story, he said he shot it, which the story changed a little bit. That's okay. We'll cut him some slack. But the hair, this hair was tested at 3 independent labs. One of them with the University of Louisville. All came back unknown primate. They couldn't get DNA from it, but that hair came back unknown primate.
The tackle tactician, almost like the color shift on a ruby throat hummingbird. I've not heard that.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that, but I have heard that the hummingbirds have just come back. I haven't seen any yet.
Look at it.
Here's a good question. Yeah, from Ninja Dave. Hair is translucent. It absorbs light and changes color of what's around it from the color of light reflection from an object.
Good
right.
Example. You know, perfect example of that? The polar bear.
Right.
Because a polar bear's hair is not white. It's clear. So a polar bear looks white because it's the snow, you know, basically. The hair kind of absorbs the light or refracts. Reflects.
So we do have sightings of white Bigfoot, so in the woods, like the albino or the blonde ones.
Yeah, the white Bigfoot, I don't understand that. Just like other animals, like a white squirrel, a white deer, that's just bad luck. I mean, but that's a good point, though. You know, I mean, if they're white, they're just like other animals. Sometimes the genes, they don't benefit them.
Different angles on the hummingbird show grayish than a metallic red looking on head. Okay, I'll have to look when we get some because I've got my feeders out. I think the color change. I want to say that name, but I can't. So it's
changed during the season.
Lumesh.
That could maybe
color change in the seasons. Yeah, that's possible. That would make sense. Jim mentions first round of studies. Oh, okay. So going back to the information that Meldrum just released, mentions first round of studies completed, goes into other study information. All right. Is it very technical or is it easy for you and I to read?
Yeah, I hope they're able to prove something with the hair study. This, I'll show you right here. I'm going to show this screen if I can. How do you hide that? So again, this right here is where you send your hair. If you guys have hair, and I'll put it in the notes, in the North Carolina state, they don't call it a Bigfoot hair study. They call it like basically an unknown biological hair study. This is the website, and you guys can't click on that. I know. I will copy this link to this website where there's a form. You fill out this form and you submit your hair. So in the description after this podcast ends, I will share that URL. Okay.
I think other universities have conducted sample examinations of samples as well. And I know because the research that I was doing before on Dr. Fahrenbach, who's got a history in zoology, and he examined a ton of hair samples believed to be Bigfoot related. And I'm just trying to figure out where he sent them to. He was from Oregon. Where did he send his prints to? I don't know if I can find it.
Well, while she's looking,
I'll have to come back to it.
You know what happens a lot with witnesses? I found they'll get hair off a barbed wire fence, like long hair, very coarse hair off a barbed wire fence, and they get excited. Well, as we know, barbed wire usually keeps cows and horses in that barbed wire enclosed area. So a lot of times when they get these long hairs off a barbed wire fence, you know, especially if they have cows, horses, most likely it's from one of those creatures, not a Bigfoot. But Bigfoots do step over barbed wire fences, so they could get hair. And that leads me to traps, hair traps. I do know there's some studies where people have taken a large PVC pipe, right? They put sandpaper inside the PVC pipe, and they put something of value, food, on the opposite side where they have to stick their hand in to grab it. So that's a good way to make a hair trap. Fact is, Tom Shea did that. Tom Shea did that, I think, with a big PVC pipe, and he put Nutella. You know, who doesn't love Nutella, right? But what happened was when he went there the next day, it was all broken, you know, taken apart or fell. The Nutella jar actually had fingers in it, like 3 fingers went in the Nutella jar. And Tom was able to cast that.
Ninja Dave, some of the hair has colour in it, red, grey, black and white, brown, etc. But it's the centre with clear hair around it, and it can stop and start again in a single strand of hair.
I heard that just recently from a witness.
You did?
Yeah, in an interview, like they said, the hair, asked them what the hair was, and they described multiple different, you know, colors of hair: reddish brown, different patches of different colors in the hair. And I've heard that before from witnesses.
Dawn Neal's here. Hey, Dawn. It's great to have you with us last week. Delphia, my favourite name. Good to see you, Delphia. Here we go. Ninja Dave again. I made a video of a hair changing colour in my hand. You did? Is there a link to that you can share in the comments? Dave,
yeah, I like to see that, Ninja Dave.
That would be good cool to see.
John, you gave us hair.
I gave you some samples at Jay's land. Remember? Asking Charlie if you remember.
I don't remember anything, John. You know that.
We've probably still got it somewhere then.
I had some poop in my freezer for a long time. Some possible. I'm not joking. In Bardstown, Kentucky, I met the guy. He had a Bigfoot sighting. I was going somewhere and we pulled over. I met him. He gave me a bag of poop, and it was in my freezer forever.
Lovely. Brian, hey Brian. I remember the Turtle Man. I think it was Finding Bigfoot episode.
Yeah, I was on. That was me sitting next to him, and the sheriff. But they transposed our names. They had Terrell Bryant for my name, and they had my name for Terrell's, the sheriff deputy.
Ninja Dave, Turtle Man found his first ground stick with me.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool.
You know, the turtle man, his house.
What's a ground stick?
Yeah, what is a ground stick? At Turtle Man's house, in his garden around his house, he had dinosaur bones. He had a femur, a big old femur from looked like a T-Rex. It was like a giant dinosaur bone he had found.
Not everybody believes in dinosaurs.
I know, but I don't know what it was.
Could be a dragon. Oh, Laura, who is Turtle Man? Okay, you need to look him up. He's hilarious.
He's from Kentucky. He was on TV for a couple seasons. He'd catch and he would remove turtles from ponds, raccoons from basements.
Actually, I didn't know why they called him Turtle Man. Why did they call him that?
The turtles, mainly because he would catch giant snapping turtles and remove them from ponds. Show lasted a couple seasons. He's a lot of fun.
He is very funny. Greetings, Dawn. Okay, so Henry, polar bear skin is black. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so I mean, my theory where I was just saying, well, if the hair's clear and the skin can change color like a chameleon, for example, or an octopus, then wouldn't that affect the hair? But I don't know. I guess I don't know if there's been any tests done on that or not. But if polar bear skin is black, maybe not.
And the hair is clear.
And the hair is clear.
So it's interesting. So it's interesting it was black because, you know, black absorbs light. So the light coming in, the black would absorb it. And maybe that, because it stays there, so to speak, probably scientifically, some reason the hair looks white then because the hair is clear. I don't know why, but
I don't know. We should have got biologists on here.
Yeah.
We got any biologists in the chat that can come up and speak to the science behind it? Drop us a comment.
Yeah, Turtle Man, he had his Bigfoot sighting in Kentucky. It's on my YouTube. If you go way back on our YouTube channel, you'll see me doing an interview with him in his garage or friend's garage of his sighting.
JD Smooth. That is smooth. They found chimpanzee DNA in Kentucky. That was Expedition Bigfoot, wasn't it?
Pine Mountain, southern Kentucky. That was in Harlan County, and it was a nest. They found a possible nest, and they got eDNA from the nest. Here's the controversy, right? Who got it, right? Dr. Mayer, right?
Is she a doctor?
Yeah, she's got a PhD. She's got a PhD. Anyway, they got the eDNA, but because she's a primatologist, people said, oh, she works with chimps, so she contaminated the DNA that they got. No, she works with known chimps. So she works with chimps that are known. So the DNA would have came back with a known chimp. It didn't. It came back unknown. So all those skeptics not skeptics, those naysayers that say, oh.
So did it come to anything or not?
My understanding, it was an unknown primate.
Okay. Because it would have been rather stupid for a primatologist to go out into the woods wearing boots that she'd previously worn, you know, to a zoo or wherever she'd been. And
then stepped in the nest with the boots.
I don't know. You would hope that she wouldn't do something
But if she did, my point would be...
Because like we just said, everybody knows about cross-contamination.
And right, even if she screwed up and did it, it would be a known chimp.
You know? Right. Okay. We should look into that and see what happened, because that is significant if anything came of it. For Kentucky too. Let's see. Laura, why is he or his case kind of famous in Kentucky? Some of us never heard of him. He's a little bit older, Laura. I don't know how old you are, but this is going back a few years, and he's just stuck. He does a lot of the festivals these days. He's very entertaining, but
yeah. But the nicest guy.
Yeah, he's still out there.
I don't know what channel, what network he was on, but the first season they didn't pay him. He did the first entire season without being paid, and that man had the biggest heart. Has the biggest heart. I remember he went to children's hospitals to visit children because he was on TV. You know, he really cared about the community.
Jim, we could read it easily. Lindsay, the Orcutt study, mostly just saying they hope to post a full report soon. That's good, because I hate it when they get so scientific that you can't even focus on reading it because you don't understand half the words that they put in. So I'm glad they made it easily accessible for everybody. Okay, another one. JD Smooth, they found chimpanzee DNA at a Bigfoot tree structure in Kentucky. Okay, I think we're going back to the same one.
Yeah, that one, I don't know if that's the same one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of the one where it was a nest, so to speak, on Expedition Bigfoot in southern Kentucky. They got eDNA that came back, some unknown, but this might be different. And by the way, do not release animals into the wild that are not native. I know somebody in Kentucky that had 2 spider monkeys years ago, and because the spider monkeys were tearing up her house, she just released them into their backyard.
Oh, I'd have took them.
Well, and they'll die. The winters, they can't survive in the winters here. Yeah. So those little poor spider monkeys would have died. So don't release non-native animals into the wild.
Bass Logic, fisherman. There's a YouTube video out where a trail cam caught a Bigfoot at night and the Bigfoot looked transparent. You could see his silhouette and his eyes were glowing red from the trail camera LED lighting. That's interesting. I've not seen that. So was that the suggestion? Or, I mean, were they suggesting that it was cloaking?
Probably.
Yeah.
But cloaking can be different things now.
Right.
Let's go back to it. There's 2 kinds of cloaking. One could just be the hair refracting light or whatever. Transparent meaning see-through. Then it's going into another dimension. It's going in and out of a dimension, maybe. That's a different type of cloaking.
Right.
Possibly.
Right. Good point. Okay, we had a TV show. Here we go. Flat Rock. I was going to send samples to Orcutt for this DNA project. North Carolina State University lists him as a librarian, instructor, and researcher. Nothing to do with DNA.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you would hope there'd be, what is it, a genealogist or something?
They're probably a government cover-up. They don't want to acknowledge his real credentials, so they gotta.
I didn't think you believed in.
He's a librarian.
Charlie doesn't believe in conspiracies.
No, I believe the government covers up stuff.
That's.
I don't know. That's interesting though, Flat Rock, because Meldrum is working with them. So you think Meldrum, he would work with somebody with some credentials, like you would think.
Okay, let's see. The tackle tactician. Do you think that Bigfoot have, as suggested, oily hair or oily hands, that they can have glands to excrete the oil like a beaver, not only to help protect like bugs, water, etc.?
Yes, because I gave the example of the Bigfoot coming out of the water and it looked dry. The hair was blowing in the wind, said the witness told me. The other reason, a lot of the handprints on glass has like an oily, waxy substance.
Our hands do have glands on them, and we secrete kind of sweat and sebaceous oils, kind of salty, and that's what the majority of fingerprints are made up from. So if they have friction ridges on the underside of their hands, then yes, they are secreting oils.
Did you guys know this? I don't know if you guys know this. My beautiful wife was in law enforcement 20 years, and she was also in forensics, right? For how many years?
5.
5 years in forensics, where she collected fingerprints.
Examined fingerprints.
Examined them.
Same thing. Collected, examined. For a few years.
We can do the Nephilim one again. We talked about the Nephilim earlier.
Do you know why they can't match the hair? Because they don't have Nephilim DNA on file. Yeah, we did that last week, talked about the potential of Bigfoot being derived from Nephilim or Nephilim. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with DNA. It's only as good as what you've got. So you need a sample, a confirmed sample in the gem bank so that we can confirm what we've got.
But again,
there needs to be a comparison.
You know, last week we talked about the Nephilims and in the Bible being evil. So that would indicate if Bigfoot is a Nephilim, they're all evil, which personally I don't believe that, because all the 700 plus witnesses I've interviewed, close encounters, I don't have one of them hurting a person. And if they were evil, I think we'd have a lot more attacks on humans than there are. And there's even cases, remember that little boy in North Carolina? What was he, 5 years old? And they lost, the little boy was lost for a couple days in the freezing cold. And then they found him right where they looked over, like across a 3-4 foot body of water. And the boy was only like 3 feet tall. So how did that boy get there? And the boy told them the bear helped him. So he told everybody the bear had helped him those couple days in the freezing cold weather and put him back in the spot over 4 foot of water. The bear helped him. Right? So there's lots of stories of, we think Bigfoot's helping people, not hurting them.
Curtis Hatchell. So Bigfoot is so smart you can't get a pic from a trail cam, but Bigfoot doesn't understand grabbing food from a trap is a setup.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of off topic, but
well, no, I like some of these questions because we think they know the trail cameras because they can see the IR, they can smell the petroleum in the plastic, they can sense the EMF from the camera, so they they avoid game cameras. A trap, you know, that's why I tell people, if you leave food out, don't make it look obvious. Like, just make it look natural, like you were camping there and you just left food. Don't make it anything suspicious. And if you want to get tracks, you want to get DNA, they're super smart. So don't try to trick them. That's what I'm saying.
Ninja Dave, Laura Ernie Brown Jr., aka Turtleman. Okay, Ernie Brown Jr., aka Turtleman. Yeah, he was ashamed to admit he shot a Bigfoot. Told me he just peppered its knee, just dusted it off. He said, but he sadly confessed, shot it in the chest.
So Ninja Dave, if you go on our YouTube channel, go way back, you will find the interview that I interviewed with Turtle Man before he went on TV, before he talked about this. And he tells me he shot above its head. So you can watch him tell me on video he shot above its head. So maybe he was ashamed.
Maybe he was
then.
too ashamed to say
maybe
it.
Then, I mean, that's a good point. Maybe he was ashamed.
Well, if he shot it, I would like to think he went after the blood and not just the hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
Yeah, the poop. Mark Roberts, a friend giving you back. Yeah, he wasn't my friend.
Nothing.
He
Nothing says friendship like giving a bag of.
He was just a witness. He saw a Bigfoot. So I'll tell you the story real quick. He was in his backyard burning brush, and he heard something scream on a ridge. There's a black, hairy creature with a chimpanzee-looking face. It went down to all fours. It galloped on all fours, long, flowing black hair, ran towards him like a bluff charge, and then ran into a thicket. The guy, scared, ran into the house, got his gun, came back. The creature was gone. He went into the thicket, and in the thicket was an opening with all these old and new piles of scat. And he got the freshest one, and he put it in a bag, and he gave it to me. And I really made him angry because I never did get it tested. I could never.
I was going to say, it just sat in the freezer.
It sat in the freezer. I made a lot of people angry. There's nobody that wanted to touch that or test it. So.
Well, yeah, because you can get some cells sloughed off when excrement is passing through the small little holes or the anus. But it's difficult. The poop itself is just waste material. It's not like it contains DNA. The only potential would be for cells
and parasites. Certain parasites in poop can tell you what animal it was. I heard that.
I don't know about that.
This is off topic.
But there's no DNA.
I found a poop this big, like. It looked like human.
It looks bigger because you got your hands up to the camera.
I know, it was giant, and I never did bag it, but anyway, it was giant, and it was right in the middle of the trail.
You know what my
like a person wouldn't poop in the middle of the trail.
Let's say somebody had hemorrhoids and there was blood in the sample. Potentially, you might get some DNA that way.
Yeah.
But poop itself is just waste material. Organic matter. Where was I? Oh, okay. Sorry. I think you guys are having a bit of a conversation there.
Yeah, we're just trying to find a couple of questions here.
We're a bit behind, actually. Oh, here we go. Tackled tactician. There is a large troop of monkeys around Ocala.
Yes.
Charlie was just down there.
My son told me that.
I guess they can travel north, but the climate is different here.
Yeah, there's wild monkeys down there in Ocala that I guess were turned loose, or did they get loose from a zoo, or did people turn them loose? My son told me that same story.
I don't know how they'd like it here with all the storms and wet weather.
They wouldn't live here. It's too cold. The winters are too cold here.
Where are we? Look up.
Here's
memory.
Gym City. Speaking of Dr. Meldrum, if you guys are listening to this, May 31st, Dr. Meldrum will be here in Kentucky at the Red River Gorge Bigfoot Festival. You could come see him for free. Cliff Barrickman, myself, Tom Shea, tons of activities, Bigfoot contests, food, vendors. May 31st in the Red River Gorge. Come see Meldrum. And this past weekend, we just went on a little private expedition where we met a gentleman who made a cast, a very compelling cast of a probable Bigfoot. And we've got video and pictures of it. And we told him, come to the Red River Gorge Bigfoot Festival, show Meldrum, and he will tell you for certain.
Do you remember how big it was? It was a wonderful. It was
I think close to 16 inches.
It was beautiful. Anyway, that just reminds me.
The toes were splayed out, real long toes, and splayed, not together but splayed. It was a really good cast.
It was. If he's listening, maybe he could get in the chat and tell us the size of it. And it just reminds me, because Dr. Fahrenbach, that did all the testing on the hair samples going back a few years. You can find a lot of information, well, a few research papers on the BFRO website from Dr. Fahrenbach. But anyway, talking about that cast just reminded me that I did make a note of something else that he did. He used to examine Sasquatch footprints as well, over 700 in total, and he put down on paper that the average foot length is approximately 15.6 inches for an adult Sasquatch, potentially weighing up to 2,000 pounds. I thought that was
2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
I always thought the estimate on 8.5 foot Bigfoot was 1,000 pounds.
Oh, he says
2,000.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Much heavier.
That's very heavy. Mid-South Sasquatch. I've never seen red eye glow. I've 9 encounters and 4 at night. It was always yellow to orange. Interesting. You hear yellow a lot.
Yeah, yellow, orange, amber, greenish, whitish blue. A lot of different. I think it depends on the light source too. Like it reflects. I've heard all different colors, and I think whatever light source will affect the color of the eyes is my thinking, but I don't know.
That's a lot of encounters. Be interested to hear where you had them, if that's in Kentucky or not.
Yeah, if anybody on here, if you've had a Bigfoot sighting, like you've actually seen one, you're almost 100% sure it was a Bigfoot, we would love to talk to you. We would love to do an interview with you. So please contact us after this podcast because we would love to document it.
Can't wipe the oil off windows. It just has to wear off with time. Their dermal ridges are different from ours, also in their fingerprints. I would love to see any fingerprints that you might have lifted, or if you have photographs of, send them to info@KentuckyBigfoot.com because I would love to see them.
Now, in a foot, on a Bigfoot's foot, the dermal ridges run vertical, from what they say, vertically, where humans run horizontal on your foot. Now, Lindsay mentioned a lot of times when they pour the plaster, the folds in the plaster may look like dermal ridges. So you really have to know what you're looking at to determine dermal ridges from the folds in the plastic.
Mark Roberts just went back to LBL
Plaster.
This weekend. What?
I said plastic, I mean plaster.
Oh, just went back to LBL this weekend and tried out my new snake gaiters. Made me think about Bigfoot running through the bush. Are they immune to copperheads and timber rattlers? Skin too tough to penetrate?
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Ticks. I always wonder that too. Like they've got to have a ton of ticks on them, right?
Yeah.
So do they get Lyme disease? Or are they like other animals, I guess, that are immune to Lyme disease, right?
Well, look at a deer.
Right.
Deer are covered in them. Oh, thanks, Jim. Only 23 likes and 47 currently on. Go hit the like button to support the podcast.
Jim's...
Thank you. It really does help us out if you can hit that like button.
Yeah, like and subscribe, you guys. And if you go to our channel, look at all the witnesses we've gotten. Tons of witnesses, video testimonies from law enforcement, park rangers, sergeants in the Fort Knox.
Mm-hmm. If they were evil, Harry wouldn't have lived so well with the Hendersons.
That's true.
Okay. JD Smooth. Then why, when Kubo blows the shofar horn, they come running? Because it's the word of God.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I didn't tell you this. My brother just told me this. That might be the same thing. There's another guy that has some kind of horn it calls in the Nephilims or demonic. I believe you're calling in a demon. You're not calling in a Bigfoot. You're calling in a demonic spirit, not a Bigfoot. And people are getting those confused. And I would have to be standing next to Kumbo and see the Bigfoot for myself.
I've not heard of a shofar.
That might be the same thing. My brother just told me about this today. I think he was going to buy one, and they're supposed to be to call in the Nephilims or demonic stuff. I would not mess with Ouija boards, any of that stuff to call in demonic spirits, because you're going to call in a demonic spirit. I personally don't believe it's going to be a Bigfoot.
Do you believe in demons?
Yes, I believe in demons, but again, there might be some bad Bigfoot, but again, I don't think they're demonic because I don't have one report of them hurting people. So many reports. I can show you my YouTube channel, face-to-face encounters. The Bigfoot's 10 feet away, does not hurt the person. Not one of them.
I don't think they're demons.
But they could be. So I hope they're not, because like Don Neal says, if they were demonic, I would not go looking for them.
No, I don't think so. I think all these sightings, people would mention more of that
physical harm done to them.
Well, that, and you tend to know, you get a gut feeling when you're in the presence of evil. People get fear, but I think there is a difference in seeing something that you don't recognize and feeling eternal doom from a demon.
Now, I'm not saying.
I think we just hear more on that along those lines.
Now, again, real quick, I'm just basing this on our own experiences and all the witnesses I've interviewed. It doesn't mean that we know everything or have the answers. Maybe there is something else to this stuff that we don't know. Nobody really knows. But we like to take all the input, analyze it, come up with different theories, of what it could be. Just try to keep an open mind, right? Always.
Brian, didn't the kid say he was saved by the monkey bear?
I don't know if he said monkey bear. I thought it was just bear.
I don't know. We'd have to look it up.
I don't know if he said monkey bear, but that's even better if he said monkey bear.
Yeah.
But he said the bear helped him. No bear's going to help that boy. I hate to say it, a bear would have probably eaten that boy.
The oil is nearly impossible to wash off, Joseph. Have you tried Dawn dish soap?
Dawn dish soap.
I'm just kidding. Don't be washing it off. You want to keep that, because even if the fingerprints are not viable, if they're not very good, you can always take a swab for potential DNA from touch DNA as well.
Yes. Lady Gray, you might be right. He might have been 3 years old. The little boy might have been 3 in North Carolina. Now, I do remember he was very young and very short. And the point of that was where they found him, they had just looked, a day earlier or whatever. It was freezing cold, and the water was like 4 feet deep. So there's no way that boy could have gotten there, they said. So they think somebody or something placed the boy there, and then he told everyone the bear helped him.
Yeah,
or the monkey.
I know the story. I just don't recall it in enough detail. Henry, Bigfoot researcher, seen 4 Bigfoot under 47 yards. I live 3 to 10 miles, 3/10 of a mile from an unused barn, so I'm trying to redirect their movement, not feeding them. Okay, so you don't want them around then?
So Henry, where do you see these? What state? We like to do an interview. If you guys would love to do it, we would like to do an interview. So if you guys had a sighting, please contact us. We could do a video interview or an audio interview over the phone. My brother's here. Must have nothing to do. I got a sample for you. Yeah, you do. My brother,
Getting some riffraff in the comments. We might have to get a moderator.
We might need a moderator. Security. We need a security. Get rid of some of these guys.
Ninja Dave. The Bigfoot have a specific species of lice. There's horse lices, cow lice, and Bigfoot, each their own specific species of lice. Bigfoot, dandruff, and lice. Interesting.
So I wonder how do you know that? I mean, it'd be interesting if there's, I like to know more about that. Like, how do you know?
Yeah.
They have.
The monkeys have been there for years. I'd see them fishing Lake Orange back 30 years ago. They can handle the cold well. Maybe they'll come up here if they're with the cold.
I don't think they can live here. That's Florida. In Florida, they can live.
Yeah, he's saying they handle the cold well.
Maybe. I know there's other types of monkeys that live in the winter, but.
Delphia. Red River Gorge is such a great place for the festival. Lots of activity there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there has been quite a few sightings in that area.
Many sightings.
Yes, which we are on the verge of documenting even further. Oh, here we go. Jim. Okay, so that print that we were looking at the weekend from that private expedition, the print was just under 16 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
It was amazing. I wish we had the print to show. That print, they have a picture of that print that he casted, and his brother or a relative who's 6'7", and they showed a picture of him. He's a big old boy. He did a comparison with his foot. He wears a size 18 boot. So this man who's 6'7", size 18 boot, took his shoe off, put his foot in the mud. They casted it. The print that was almost 16 inches was bigger than the guy who was 6'7". You can see it. And the toes were completely different. They were splayed out in the Bigfoot, and his, they're together. Lots of different characteristics. I think it was a legit print.
Yeah, it was awesome. Hopefully brings it back in May. Greg Olson, every primate species has their own chemical makeup of sebum. Humans have cholesterol. Yes.
So sebum, is that an oil or is that a type of cholesterol? Sebum. Never heard of sebum. Henry said his dog has Lyme disease.
Greg, credit goes to
Doug
Hychek.
I can't wait for Doug's next documentary, the sequel to Sasquatch Legend Meets Science, that's coming out soon.
My dog is Lyme positive. That's funny, actually. That triggers a memory. I think somebody else mentioned recently that their dog had been impacted by ticks.
Yeah, I didn't realize other animals can get Lyme disease. I thought it was just human. But yeah, you wonder if Bigfoots have adapted so that snakes, ticks, they're not affected by those creatures.
A special type of shofar, I don't know if I'm saying that right, is referred to as the voice of God. I'm going to have to look that up because I've never heard of it.
Shofar. Is that a horn?
Don, the other guy your brother mentions does also blow the shofar horn. But he said he highly recommends not using it because he said it was dangerous.
Right. That's what my brother was talking about. That it would call in a demon, not a Bigfoot. And even though he may say it's a Bigfoot, but like Don and I agree, you're going to call in something demonic. You're not going to call in a Bigfoot.
Shofar is what the Israelites blew to knock down the walls of Jericho. Okay.
Oh, wait. Somebody has it. What is that? Laura,
do you mean you're looking to interview sightings that took place in Kentucky? I'm a Kentuckian who had a sighting in Washington State. I think I asked before, but can't remember. Please clarify.
Yes, Laura. We still would love to do an interview with you. So afterwards, if you could text us your phone number or somehow contact us, we would still like to do the interview.
Let me put Charlie's number.
You're giving another woman my phone number?
502-435-2771. Okay.
So there's my number. Would that go in there?
Yeah. That's Charlie's number in the comments, Laura. If you want to get a hold of him, we can set something
Where
up
is
with
it?
you. We're behind on comments. It's in the bottom.
So yeah, Laura, she just typed my phone number in there. So keep my phone number and text me later. We will set up a time for the interview.
Kumbo says it took him months to learn how to blow that horn. Okay, JD Smooth, because they are Nephilim, when it comes to end of times, they are not going to care. D.A. Roberts seen it. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you could be right. I hope not. I hope not.
Dave, great point, Charlie. The Bigfoot have free will, same as us, to choose between good or bad, not demons. But could be possession of demons, same as with some people.
Right. I believe that. Like, I think the same thing. You have good and bad ones. Generally speaking, though, I'm going on my research. So many witnesses, face-to-face encounters. The Bigfoot is just curious. It leaves the person alone. It does not hurt the person. We don't have dozens and dozens of Bigfoot attacks anywhere, like where they're killed and put in hospitals. There's not many of them. So I think if they were more demonic, they would be abducting more people, more people going missing. I think a lot of people that go missing are due to foul play with other humans, bad weather, like David Pilates mentions in his Missing 411 books, all the criteria: bad weather, they're young or old, they have some kind of mental handicap. You know, he never mentions Bigfoot, even though David is a Bigfoot researcher as well. Um, but a lot of it has to do with other things. Yeah, you could have a Bigfoot here and there that might do that, but I'm just going based on what I know from my research.
Delphia agrees. Ninja Dave says the Bigfoot oil is like ectoplasm. That stuff doesn't wash off, not even with Ajax or Dawn will touch it. That's funny. But let's be sure that before we're washing it off, we're making sure we've got samples to get some sterile swabs. And there is some potential for DNA in fingerprints as well. Okay. The oil is called sebum, and every primates have different. Okay, we've done that one. Okay, all right. He's talking about. Yeah, we've touched on that. Dawn. Oops, I should have said the man your brother mentions does use a shofar horn. If video I saw is the same one your brother saw, of course, I could not know for certain we saw the same.
Yeah, I would not use it.
Yeah.
My brother was excited today, telling me I didn't want to bust his bubble, but I would not use something that would bring in a demon. I would never use a Ouija board. I would never use a horn that brings in something demonic. I don't want to mess with a demon. I don't want a demon to follow me home.
No.
I could have made a joke right there, but I didn't.
You've got your own demons. We don't need any more. God.
I do. I've got my own demon ready.
You're full of him.
You just said you got your own demons.
That's what I mean. You have. Delphia had an aunt and uncle that lived at the gorge, and they had multiple visits. One when I was visiting years ago. That's interesting.
Wow, I like to.
Delphia, if they're still around, be good to chat with them.
Can you get my phone number, Delphia, in the chat somewhere, Lindsay? Somewhere in the chat. My phone number is in there. Please take it. We would love to talk to them.
Okay, here's a hair question. Do you know if the hair on Bigfoot is similar to hair on the Gobble Gobble?
That's a song that his son, I think that's the same person. His son plays in a rock band, and that's the name of a Bigfoot song. Goobler.
Sebum is basically an oil secreted from the skin to protect it.
Sebum.
These Bigfoot in NH North kept their toes together while on snow. No snow now. Mud season. Maybe I'll get lucky. I got casting material. Where's NH?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. There it is. There's Charlie's number in case anybody needs it. 502-435-2771. Okay, let's try and get this wrapped up. We're a bit behind on comments.
We're going to answer a few more questions here.
Several different shofar. We're going to have to look this up because clearly people are talking about this thing and I've never heard of it. The shofar horn is the horn of a few certain animals that God named, usually a ram's horn. But I have one that is made from a kudu's horn.
You know, the other thing too, just trying some different things. I've heard train whistles or different types of slide whistles. We mentioned before about whale noises. Get this, yeah.
Remember what happened when I saged the house, Jim?
I ran.
He ran. He started choking and
I
ran
don't want to breathe.
out.
I don't want to breathe that crap.
He said, like I said before, it explains a lot.
We moved into our new house and she started lighting sage.
Sage in the house, cleansing it.
I'm like, I couldn't breathe and I had to run out. It wasn't because I'm a demon.
Right.
But anyway, any kind of horn, I mean, that's not, different sounds. It's good to try when you're out doing Bigfoot research. Try different things. Slide whistles, whale sounds, other types of sounds, music. Try different things, and it'll bring a Bigfoot because they're curious. They want to know what's going on. So it's good to try different types of audio.
Yes, try everything. Yeah. Do some cool blasting. Like you've had some success with that. Blasting other, and we'll do a show on that. We'll do a show on audio.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll do one on vocalizations. Yeah. We have some great vocals. We'll bring on Devin, who's I think an expert on vocalizations.
If he's
coming
here,
up,
that would be wonderful.
Yeah, we'll bring him on. We'll bring him on.
I see a number, but they both passed away. That's too bad, Delphia, because we are so close to the Red River Gorge. That would have been wonderful to hear. Yeah. Aztec death whistle.
All right.
Well, we kind of got a little bit off topic, but I think we talked a fair bit about hair. I mean, it would be great if we had an expert able to come on the show and talk about it, but I don't really know who would be willing to do that, actually. Well, scientist, anyway. Yeah, there's not many out there that specialize in hair.
Well, what we're doing, as you guys know, every Tuesday night, it's more of a discussion and trying to involve everybody here, try to answer questions or share your knowledge. So thank you guys for sharing your knowledge tonight. We learned a little bit here from everybody. The idea of this is to share information. We're not right with everything. We don't know all the answers. So please keep that in mind. When I say I believe this, it doesn't mean I'm right. Just I'm basing it on my research and experiences. Other people have their experiences and research. So we want this to be an open discussion every Tuesday night. We will bring on guests every now and then. We have a guest that's going to come on for audio. Hopefully, I need to contact Devin. UFOs. We're going to get Brent and Tiffany to come on as guests.
Oh, can't wait for that one.
Yeah, we're talking about the UFO Bigfoot connection. So we have some really great guests lined up as well. Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
We'll get some witnesses on one night too.
Yeah, we'll get some witnesses to join us and share their stories.
Yeah.
So this is a new podcast. We're still learning as we go. So thank you guys for joining us. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Good night, guys.
All right, bye-bye.